Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Stitching Tales. I am Johanna Lundström,
And I am Malena Hjerpe.
and this podcast is about all things sewing and also what it's really like to run a small sewing business. And Malena, we recently made an episode where we talked about you, basically for the entire episode, which I loved, where we talked about your upcoming pattern launch and what your plans was from it. So I'm just a little bit curious, just to catch up, what has been going on in your mind since we last spoke about that those ideas that we talked about.
Yeah, I mean, I feel confident in my decision to wait with the launch until early September. I haven't said a date yet, but somewhere in early September, just so I have time to finish everything. Because right now, with my freelance work, it's so much. I don't have the time for anything else. Plus, the garden is taking so much time as well. I mean, I want to do that, so I can't. I don't have the time at the moment to focus on launching the pattern. I have done all the updates to the actual pattern and made like a copy shop file and project files of it. So that one I have sent out to my testers, and I've also said that in end of June, then I will have 1 week for myself, for my own project. Then I will do all the updates to the sewing instructions and make like a sew along blog post or like prepare it so I have everything ready when I actually do the launch. So I feel confident in that decision. So I'm happy.
Yeah,
How
that's so
have
nice to hear.
yeah? How
So
have your after your coaching session been?
yeah, it's been similar. That I had I had some very important realization. I think the main one was that YouTube is so important to me, and I need to figure out a way of re-entering to that space. And so what's happening is I've actually recorded 3 YouTube videos. So I'm actually before this podcast, I was trying to edit one, and by the time this episode is out, I will definitely have been posted a video. And if you're not familiar with it, if you only follow of this pod, we of course have our own YouTube account, Stitching Tales Pod, where we post a video version of this pod, but I also have my own YouTube channel, The Love Stitch, where I post sewing videos, like sewing tips and things like that, sewing tutorials. And I've not been posting much in the last couple of years for mostly time and energy reasons. But yes, I post videos on Sundays. So if you are, hopefully, fingers crossed, I am almost done editing the first video. But I realized that because I'm going away tomorrow, and I'm going to be away all weekend, so there's no way I'm going to be finished and posting this video on Sunday. I just had to, but better to do it right than to do it too quickly, I think. So in this case, I will have to wait a week. But when this episode is out, you will be able to watch the video, hopefully, on my other YouTube channel, and I will link to that in the description section of this video. So
Great.
I feel really, really good. I felt talking to you, we did that in the previous episode, just talking to you made me realize a lot of things about how I need to take my business more seriously and really put the focus on the things that has the most traction, which is so easy. There's so many little things that you can run towards, and I've streamlined a few things, and I've cut out a couple of things as well that I like, small income streams that are just a bother thing, and just want to like professionalize everything and streamline everything. That these are my focus. So yeah, I feel actually really good. Apart from the fact that it's super cold in the studio today because the radiators aren't working, and it's been like 4 degrees in Gothenburg despite the fact that it's almost June. So I am like, my hands are kind of like crooked. So I will see if I can, at least I won't be sweating in front of the camera today. I might turn blue into the face, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's the negative part about living in a Nordic country. It's like in the end of May, it could be sunshine and summer weather. It could also be like, well, is it winter still or not? I mean, we have had, not where I live, but in Sweden there has been snow this week, so yeah. Weather, April showers. No, that's like May.
Yeah, it's crazy. I talked to my daughter who lives even farther up north than you do, Malena, and they had snow yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, yeah. And I was like, 4 degrees? That's like winter here in Gothenburg. I'm like, come on. It's 7 days until June now we're recording this. I mean, please.
Yeah, but at least it's raining. I'm happy for that because it has been so dry spring. So my plants need some water. So I'm happy about that. The heat, that could be turned on a little bit. It's a little bit too cold for my taste as well.
Yeah, it's good with the rain. I mean, we have also like dry water reserves now here in southern Sweden. So this was a blessing, definitely. I agree with you. The rain, no problem, but I'm kind of sick of, because this morning I went out and I felt I should go back and pick up my gloves. So now that I'm inside and it's almost as cold as on the outside, I feel like I maybe should have the gloves on when we're recording this podcast. We'll see. And also, if you hear any background noise in this episode, we have a lot of things going on. On my side, I have my sewing studio in antique shop, and he's also working a lot, like carpentry, on refurbishing old furniture. So usually it's not here on Fridays when we record this, but he came in. So soon there might be hammering and sawing and all kind of things. And also my next door neighbor is apparently having a video conference right now, and these walls are like thin as paper. So just that you know that this might be a little bit of a background noisy thing of podcast, and you too, Malena, you might also have some noise in the background.
It's not better on my end. My husband is sitting in a room next to me. He's also working from home, and he's having, he always talks on the phone with colleagues or have on Teams. And today daycare is closed, so my 4-year-old is home. My parents are luckily here to take care of him, so I can still work. But yeah, we are 4 extra people in the household here today besides me. So we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah, we'll see. We will take it on uppstuds, as we say in Sweden, like on the fly, basically. This is a very casual podcast, and we came up with the theme of this podcast late last night, right? So yeah. But so, it's fun. There's always like new creative things you can talk about sewing. So usually we talk about things that we are familiar with and that we have some expertise within. But in today's topic, we're going to talk about the things that we are not wanting to sew, or things or that we never want to sew again. Right, Malena?
Yeah, and it was a little bit funny when you gave that suggestion. I was like, nah, well, I mean, I don't have anything particular that I don't want to sew or do. Like, I could basically do like whatever. I don't have anything like on my not to do list. Boom! 5 minutes later, I have written stuff down.
Wow! So for you that are not watching the video version, Malena held up a notepad with rows upon rows upon rows upon rows of things that she's not sewing.
Yeah, there are quite a lot of things that I don't want to sew. So yeah, I got stuff.
Oh, that's nice to hear. And I have a lot of things too, and I will probably think of more stuff just as we started talking. I would probably be, when you list your stuff, I would be, I hear.
Yeah, we're going to trigger each other here.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because I think of myself as a pretty adventurous sewist, so I definitely tried a lot of stuff. But there are definitely a few things that I have tried and will never ever do again. I don't think.
What's your number one on that list?
Yeah, I will talk about those also. But one thing that and I guess this is kind of a no-brainer, I would say, but one thing I would never ever do is to sew a shirt with collar and a collar stand and cuffs made of those hopeless silk charmeuse fabrics. Those are crazy slippery. I mean, they have no body whatsoever, and the thought of making like structured details to sew darts and plackets and color stands. And trying just cutting those kind of fabrics is an absolute nightmare. Now, of course, you can use starch, and you have to cut single layers, but because some parts are cut on the bias, they will twist and turn and expand. I mean, you can basically just look at the fabric and it's going to turn into something else. And then when you start to sew, you're going to have some awful puckers. It was actually funny because there's a kind of funny Reddit community is called Craft Snark, and I think they had a similar thread on basically this kind of slippery silk fabrics. If you hate yourself, try sew with this fabric or something like that. I think it was titled, and it had lots of comments. So I'm clearly not alone in my disdain for this kind of fabric, and I definitely realize what it can be tempting, because when you go to a fabric store, these fabrics are beautiful, like silk satin, silk chamois. They have the most gorgeous colors. They usually come in the most beautiful prints. So you can start craving them just looking at them, because they're so lush, so delicious. And silk is, of course, wonderful to wear. But I'm an experienced sewer, and I sew in silk chiffon and these kind of fabrics, no problem. But those every time I've even come close to trying to do something with that, I've not been happy with the result. So that's definitely a no-go for me, at least for now. Maybe when I've sewn for 60 years, but I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I didn't think of that specific fabric, but yeah, that sounds like a nightmare. And here it's like so important to choose the right type of fabric for your project. I mean, yeah, there are always trends like making these kind of more structured garments, but with these kind of fabrics. But it's, I mean, it's a nightmare. And usually they don't look that nice after wearing, or like even when they are in the store, because it is not a good match. It's just, I mean, it's a nightmare. So pick a suitable design if you want to work with these kind of fabrics. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, very very simple top, for instance, with ideally not any darts or shaping. For instance, maybe you can use gathers or pleats, perhaps, or something.
And
I've seen
drapings.
Drapings, of course,
yeah.
That's also a good idea. And something is really coming back now is the 90s fashion. I've seen so many people now wearing those like slip skirts that are, I guess they're polyester, most of them, but you could make them a silk as well, which are very simple. It's basically just an elastic waist, and it's cut on the bias, I think. And then it's just hemmed with a narrow hem. Now, that, of course, too, is a little bit tricky, but that's at least only one seam that you might have a little bit of struggle with. And if you get that right, it's an easy make to use for this kind of fabric.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
So
I'm going to put that on my not to do list as well.
No. And also, of course, now we are saying this, but is there someone who's out there who's sewn a structured dress shirt with a slippery silk fabric, such as silk charmeuse, I'm probably pronouncing this wrong. We'd love to hear your experience, and also, if you were successful, definitely share some tips as well over on our social, Stitching Tales Pod on Instagram, and of course, Stitching Tales Pod on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, these are all obviously just our personal opinions, so you do whatever you want to do. Yeah,
definitely. So, Malena, what's on your list?
Well, I actually had, I made them into categories.
Oh, interesting.
And I have very similar thing as well. First of all, like fabrics. Fabrics I don't ever want to sew with for, different types of reason. And one is actually same as silk charmeuse, or like same categories. It's like tricky fabrics to work with. And for me, the thing that I thought of was chiffon or silk organza, which is a little bit more easy to work with compared to silk chiffon, but that's like my number one. Ain't doing that. And I have worked with silk chiffon. This is something I still question, like why I ever sewed this. It was in school. I think I was 14, 15 years old in home economics. And I think we had like during the year we had like specific things that we needed to sew. And I think one thing was children's clothes. And I wonder if there was something else also that I like killed two birds with one stone. Do you say that? Two birds with one stone. Anyway.
Kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, we say flies in here. Birds sounded a little bit grotesque. Anyway,
this sounds really even more grotesque to kill two birds with a stone. Yeah, that sounds awful. I don't know.
But anyway, you get what I mean, like two tasks into one project. Yeah.
I haven't thought about that before. Sorry, I just got sidetracked. Okay, keep on.
Yeah, no, so I made... so kids wear, and I think it was, I wonder if it was chiffon, and I also tried to incorporate in this project. But anyway, I made a baptized dress, like when kids, babies get baptized in church. They have these
elaborate dresses with laces like and layers of fabric. And
I made that kind of a dress when I was 14, 15, and in like satin combined with chiffon. And I remember my teacher were a little bit like, are you sure? You know, with these kind of dresses, they are usually like more traditional, like you inherit it from like the one that you have when you were born. And like, I think she was like trying to push me away from doing it. But yeah, and I think a friend of mine did it as well. And I'm still like, why? Why that particular kind of garment, and why that fabric, and why? So yeah, no, chiffon, no, ain't doing that again. Because that's also like silk charmeuse. You look at it and it just like it it doesn't lay flat. You breathe on it and it's gone.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, you basically have to stay stitch before you even touch it, which I have no idea how you technically maneuver it. And it's also fascinating because I've done several projects in silk chiffon, and despite the fact that I've been really trying to be really precise with the cutting and cutting each piece separately. It's fascinating because I could put, the right and the left sleeve on top of each other afterwards, check, and they are already going in totally different directions, and I haven't even started sewing it. And then you especially those areas where I cut on the bias, for instance. I mean, it's crazy. And now I'm also doing a blouse in a very lightweight. I think it's a rayon fabric, not a silk fabric, but it's the same thing. I'm like, I can't even cut the hem straight. I have no idea how that's possible. It's kind of wavy. And I mean, I try to, it befundles me. It befundles me. Mm.
Yeah, it's, on my list. I actually have two other categories of fabric as well. Do you have any other fabrics that are big no-nos for you, or do you have anything in that similar?
No, I only have one, basically, which I don't think I will ever do again. And that is those fine knit rib cotton fabric. Maybe it's called interlock. Those that don't have any lycra, that are super soft. They can use for pajamas and baby clothing. And those are the kind of fabrics that have zero recovery, and as soon as you put them on, they will start to grow. I mean, not every rib knit is like that. There's specific, and I'm sure you have the right word for it, Malena, with your fabric skills. What is it called? Do you know? What I mean?
There are two different. Like rib is it could be a 1x1 rib or something. It is really difficult to just see the difference between a 1x1 rib and an interlock, but it is knitted in different ways, similar but different. And the interlock has very poor recovery.
It's the interlock I'm talking
soft,
about then. Yeah.
Super nice to have, super nice hand feel, very common in like babies wear and pajamas, as you said. But if you would make a tight leggings in interlock, oh my god, you are gonna have like the knees are gonna grow, the bum is just gonna sag. It's
you're gonna end with a pair of harem pants before the day is over.
Yeah, so lovely fabric, but you really need to pick the right garment for it.
For sure, and definitely adjust in orders. But if you have an idea of a tight-fitting top, you're definitely going to have to figure out, a lot of negative ease perhaps on your pattern, and try to figure out how much it's going to grow when you put it on the body, because it, as you say, it just expands and it doesn't really recover. Unlike rib knits fabrics, they do have some recovery. So I'm not overly keen on ever doing that kind of fabric again, to be honest. I think I'm pretty much done with those.
Yeah, that sounds understandable. I actually have also tricky fabrics as a bullet point on my list. But here I'm thinking more like, and I'm so impressed when people do this. They look amazing, but I would not have the patience for it. It's like those fabrics that are like all over beaded or all over sequins. I mean, they look amazing, fabulous, and when people have sewn and show it, it's just like jaw-dropping, beautiful. But yeah, not. It's not a quick sew.
No. It's usually also you have to, in order to join the seams, you will have to remove pieces so that the sewing machine won't hit those pearls, or sometimes the sequins can be hard to sew through too. So there's so much prep work that goes into that. So it's super tricky. So again, you would have to do something that has as little seams as possible, ideally only side seams, I think, in order to pull that off. It's
and
so
definitely
tricky.
make like toiles, like prototypes before to make sure that the fit is great. Because doing adjustments on these types of fabric, it's gonna be tricky. And I mean, we have, if you have watched Project Runways or similar shows, like they have cutted out the fabric and they're going with a hammer all over the, like, if it has like glass beads, to like crush all the beads so it doesn't break when you actually sew and you destroy the machine or something. And it just looks like, oh my god, it's a I admire anyone who does that. You have my full respect, but I would never go into that kind of a project.
No, not me either. I guess if we were doing like couture inspired garments, if that was our thing, I guess then we would figure out ways of doing this and learn it. But again, I'm not overly keen on, so I'm with you on this one. I didn't think about that one, but yeah, not tempted.
I mean, in a fantasy world, I dream of being a couturier, like being able to sew haute couture garments, but it's like, in the realistic world, I wish.
Right. Do you have any more fabrics that are on your?
Yeah, I've written bad quality, and the main is acrylic.
Yeah.
I would never.
That's your number one enemy. Acrylic. I know you have a strong.
I have issues with acrylics.
You have issues. Yeah, I think you talked about that previously on the pod as well. And I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
Why?
I mean,
why are you?
Correct
such a
me
hater?
if I'm wrong. Yeah, if there is anyone who has like positive things to say about acrylics, like share them if you have positive experience. The only positive thing I can think about acrylic is to make the garment cheaper. It's otherwise, I mean, it's pilling in a really ugly, bad way. So tricky to remove those pills, and when you wear, it's just not. You don't breathe in the, like, it's So, and again, and I have said this so many times. I mean, I buy a lot of cheap fabrics, so there probably has been some acrylics in those fabrics, but the purpose of those garments are just to try out the fit. It's not to wear the actual garment over time. So probably have sewn in acrylic, but for the final garment, in general, like, yeah, cheap fabric for toiles, sure, but if you are gonna spend the time on your garment, spend a little money as well on good quality.
Yeah, I so agree with acrylic. I mean, in some ways, 100% acrylic is almost a little bit better than those mixes, because 100% acrylic actually tends to peel a little bit less. That when you bring on some natural fibers such as wool or mohair, but yeah, not a fan. I think I will say though that maybe back in the, because I've seen sometimes in secondhand stores, I can see acrylic sweaters that have actually stood the test of time, so they look quite nice even though they may be 50, 60 years. So I think there has been, just like with a lot of other stuff, I mean, things have gotten a bit more rubbish, and of course it's a bit of a survivor bias here as well, because the good quality, so to speak, synthetic fibers have stood the test of time, so therefore you can find acrylic sweaters that actually hasn't peeled or look quite well. But and another gripe with acrylic to me is that it's not a functional fabric, because it's cold when it's cold and it's hot when it's hot. So it's like the opposite. It's like the opposite of a functional fabric. So if you put on an acrylic sweater when it's cold, you're going to be cold. And if you have acrylic garment on when it's warm, you're going to be like a sweaty mess, and it's going to start to stink really quickly. I think we all are familiar with that that's it's a kind of yucky. I mean, body odors in acrylic, they have a tendency of really creating quite an unpleasant smell as well. So yeah, lots of reasons to avoid acrylic. I'm with you on that one as well.
Yeah, and I don't think it is that common, to be honest, in fabric that you sew with. I mean, it's much more commonly used in ready-to-wear fast fashion for like getting that wool look, like heavy chunky knitted sweaters. So it's not that common, to be honest, in fabrics, luckily. But yeah, other bad qualities fabrics as well. I mean, you don't want to waste your money and time on things that are gonna be destroyed in the first wash. So that's one reason, like, you always should do pre-wash the fabric, or at least do a swatch or something to see what happens with the fabric. And if it starts to peel or twist or whatever from just one wash, it's not gonna be worth your time to spend a lot of sewing details and stuff on it. So
yeah. Stay away from that stuff.
My fabric fabric chapters. What's on your next on your not to do list?
Well, even though I'm pretty adventurous and I've tried to sew a lot of things, one thing I will never ever touch, I think, is a tailored jacket, because it's a trade. It's a trade that you train for many years, and that's why they are so well executed when you buy a well-made suit. And even those that are a little bit cheaper, it's still something that people do all the time. So when you're sewing on an assembly line and creating a suit, even done it's like in a factory setting, they do lapels and welt pockets and lining over and over and over again. So of course the skills are going to improve. But from my perspective, to get to that level, that would take the dedication that I just don't have in me. So, and because I'm a little bit of a stickler for details and really like that my makes looks well made, I mean, pretty sharp and with a good finishing, I don't think I will ever be happy with anything I've made when we talk about those classics with the lapels. I mean, just getting the corners right on the collar of a tailored jacket. I mean, it's not easy, and the buttonholes, not to mention, I would have to hand sew them, which is a nightmare. I mean, no, I have no appeal whatsoever. I would rather spend lots and lots of money and go to a tailor and get that right, rather than thinking that I have in any way or shape the ability to do something that even closely mimics that kind of expert level. So no, not for me. I mean, I know some people are really good at tailoring, and hats off to you, because it's definitely a skill that is not easy to gain. It takes a lot of practice and attention to detail. So I'm very, very impressed by everyone, and that's why I'm also saying this is. It's basically I'm bowing down to the expertise and saying, I'm out of here. You are the experts. I'm going to stay over in my corner. So the more easy stuff and enjoy your skills rather and support those rather than trying to make it myself.
Yeah, I mean, that's, they are artisans. They are like, it's a true craft. Like, I mean, the amount of education and practice experience they have is just... It's on a completely other level. Full respect to them. It's funny because I actually have the exact same thing on my list. Blazers, tailored jacket I've written because I know I will never be able to sew them on that kind of a level that I would want it to be. And also it's just not, I mean, it's so much in a tailored jacket, like hand basting the structure.
Building it up like with the interfacing and underlining and
yeah, it's just so much work. So that's also like I would never. I wish in my in the dream world I would be amazing at doing this, but in reality, like know your expectations a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's I love people that are adventurous about sewing. So hats off to you, as I say. I mean, we're not here to say that you shouldn't do it. It's just that for us, it's just it doesn't seem worth the effort, and also of course very humbling experience, because even though we are both experienced sewists, I mean, I would probably feel like I was going back to square one, because it would look like I was just starting out sewing in my head. I think if I looked at a finished blazer that I've done, it's going to be so wonky. And as you say, also it's such a fascinating inner working of building that structured garment. It's not like you could just put on a fusible and expect really great results. I mean, the secret is the fact that, as you say, so much hand sewing that goes into this as well, and understanding and getting. Also easing in the sleeves to get the satin sleeves. They are pretty beautiful despite the fact that you have some extra fabric in the sleeve cap. And I mean, it's craft for sure. Very, very skilled. Yeah. Probably one of the most difficult thing to sew, I would say.
Yeah, no, absolutely 100%. Yeah, it's a true craft, so I would never attempt to. I know enough about it that I don't know enough about it. Like, yeah, I know my limitations.
Same, because I've heard people ask me sometimes, people that don't sew, because it's so expensive. I wonder what it would be like to sew your own suit, for instance. And I'm like, yeah, great starter project. I mean,
maybe start with a t-shirt.
Yeah. Sorry to be the one that kind of brings the mood down a little bit, but I try to give them a reality check on the I think it's the same thing.
Of course, you can make it more simplified. I mean,
of course,
there are trends when I remember having suits, so to say, in college fabric, and I mean, you can completely do similar look without having the full-on structure and everything. So I mean, you can really put it on a level that you are comfortable with if you want to do it. But now we are talking about like a proper tailored suit, like that's on a completely other level.
A completely different level. And I also think you could make it easier, for instance, doing, I think it's called the standing collar, the Nehuru collar, like it's like a small standing collar instead of lapels, I think lapels. Yeah, lapels, right. That would be probably a little bit easier, for instance. And I also saw I have this we need to talk about fall trends in an upcoming episode, because I gave myself the subscription of this big Vogue magazine that has photos from all the big collections, fashion collections. So I was browsing through that yesterday. Ooh. And I also noticed a big 80s trend, and also with those massive shoulders. But also another thing that I saw, which is a bit more 90s, is the collarless tailored jacket. And again, that would also remove some of those most trickiest areas if you want to go into that. That could probably be an alternative as well, and very much on trend as well.
Interesting. Yeah, we can do that before we go on summer holiday. Maybe we should do a fall fall episode.
Exactly. I have lots of things to say. It was really interesting. I really saw some very strong trends.
Yeah, this is what messes with my head, especially. I mean, I'm in the fast fashion industry, so we are working with like 1.5 year like in the future garments, and then we are also reacting on selling today and also approving samples that will go into production and will be in store in half year, 1 year. Like, there are so many timelines in your head at the same moment. So people ask me sometimes like, okay, so what's trending now? I was like, I have no idea. I'm like all over the place in my timeline in my head. I don't know.
Yeah.
What year is it today?
It must be so. I mean, it's so fascinating to, and you have to be in such a mindset and imagine, and of course we don't even know if the trend is going to take.
Yeah, and so, I mean, for me, luckily, I'm the pattern maker. I just do what I'm being told by the designer and by the buyer. I mean, they are the one who needs to figure that things out. Then the designer just send the sketches to me. So luckily, I don't need to keep track on that. I just do what I'm being told. Like, so happy about that. And I'm gonna keep it like that. I no interest of being a designer. I have so much respect for their job. It's they do an amazing job.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's very, very impressive. Fashion business, again, not perhaps something I'm keen on starting up. I mean, I love making sewing patterns, but I don't see myself just starting a fashion line. It's kind of the same thing as we talked about with tailored suits. I think both you and I know too much about the realities of trying to run a fashion business. It's so tricky and really, really hard to break through, and you have to put so much money up front, and you're going to have a constant cash flow problem, and and then if you go wholesale, your buyers might go bankrupt, so you don't get paid. I mean, it's a crazy world. That could also be an episode in the future, why we're not wanting to start a fashion line. I think we could definitely talk about that too.
Yeah, that would be like the most negative episode ever.
Yeah.
Anyone who wants to go into fashion was like, no, don't listen to this.
No, sorry.
Yeah, but one thing I also have on my, I'm never not going to sew this, but I do think it's very fascinating, is the bras. And I've seen people do, I mean, amazing bras, so beautiful, and I do find it very fascinating with this, like you could basically buy a prepared box with all the tools, notions, fabrics, because I mean, it's not a lot of big fabrics that you are going to use, so they can prepare it. That I found so appealing. But it's a garment that I know so little about, and I have no interest in doing. And I mean, luckily I can buy my own size pretty easily in a store, so I don't have the need for it. I think that most people who sew the bra, or not most, but probably a majority sew it because they have difficulty finding a bra that fits them perfectly. So they do it both out of interest, but also out of necessity. Because finding fitting bras can be really challenging. But I'm a huge I have so trouble with finding the English words today.
Yes.
I apologize.
Some days are like that. It's the same for me. I don't know, sometimes
I'm a huge fan of people who sew their own bra, and it looks so pretty, but it's not my tea.
Yeah, I hear you on that a little bit. I've actually sewn quite a few bras and also a couple of corsets. I was doing a lot more of that back in the days, maybe in the late 80s and early 90s. I think, as you say, I think the main reason is, of course, that you have problems finding the right fitting bra, and also because if you're sewing a bra yourself, you're doing the sculpting with pieces. So that means you can put a lot of your own personality and taste and flair into the makes. Like there's so many beautiful fabrics to choose from and laces. So I think also what's appealing is the fact that you can kind of build that beautiful bra. It's also a design thing and have a lot more fun with colors. I mean, since because bras today are quite different from the bras in the 80s, and I think probably that's also the reason why I don't really sew bras that much anymore, because they have definitely moved into that high-tech area where the cups are heat pressed and formed. So instead of shaping the cup with different panels and darts and seams, it's instead just pressed on a cup and shaped. So for instance, that's what kind of bra I'm wearing today. It's pretty much invisible, and also because a lot of us wear jersey, it's also nice to have that seamless bra to wear. So that's the main reason why I kind of stopped making bras, because I realized that I wear a lot of jersey garments and those form pressed bras. I think I don't know the English word for it, but the thing about those form pressed bras is they're super boring to look at because they are in various skin tones, and maybe you can find someone in black and then in white. So they're not very exciting to look at. They're just like very functional and boring. So I have thought about taking up bra making again, just because I like the idea of having something pretty on the inside that is not everyone will see. So that's the appeal of it. But I think it is a little bit. It's a different bra landscape out there now with all the modern techniques of seamlessness and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's fascinating, but I don't want to go into that, but I encourage people, like, if you have trouble finding a right size, I know a few companies, I don't remember by name now, obviously, my memory, but there are some companies that are very specifically do just these kind of things and have courses in courses in sewing your own bra, and they are so knowledgeable. So definitely, if you are interested in search for it, and you will probably find some great courses and great sets that you can buy.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to link to big Swedish vendors here as well. And she also has classes, and they sell out really quickly. So and she also teaches how to, just like you would do a sloper or a base pattern, you do the same for the bra. So you basically construct it on your body, and then you can just repeat this over and over again and using different fabrics and different notions, which I think is a brilliant idea. Again, also it's a nice way of using fabric scraps as well, if you have some, because it's just small pieces that you can work with. So yeah. And bras can be so expensive as well. So I think it's definitely one area where you could definitely save money if you made your bra yourself.
Yeah.
So again, I'm with you. I think it's a fascinating trait, and I think it's a good idea. But I remember a little bit like you as well. Not the thing I'm kind of standing first in line to do more about.
What's next on your list?
Something that I've tried several times and that I don't think I will ever do again, and that's kind of similar to the way that we talked about the bras, is that sometimes technology and industrial settings, they do it the best. So I've tried several times to make rainproof garments. So for instance, I've sewn like a rain jacket and soft shell jackets. And the thing is that you have to seal the seams either using tape or glue or some other technique. And not saying that it can't be done, because I know people are doing it successfully, but it is really tricky to do it yourself at home and to get that sealing to stick and to ensure that the seams will not let in moist and water. So to be honest, I've tried several different techniques, and I feel like I would need to dedicate my life, or just similar with tailoring, to to be really good at sealing seams. So I've pretty much given that up now. So I haven't actually sewn any rain garment or a waterproof or showerproof garment in so many years now, because I kind of feel I never really nailed that. And that's kind of, because you have to nail that, because otherwise the garment is not functioning the way it's supposed to be. And I've bowed down to the fact that has not been my strongest suit.
Yeah, I didn't even think that was a category that you could sew, but of course, so true. Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that either, because as you said, the seams, you are puncturing a hole in the fabric, in the waterproof fabric, every time the needle goes down, and it's gonna be tricky. In factories, I mean, they have different very specific machines to either glue this, like they melt the fabric together, or they put on a tape to make it seal it. So it is, that kind of thing is so tricky to replica in your home. Other outerwear, sure, but rain garments can be very tricky.
Yeah, and if this is the same, if you focus on it and learn how to do it well, you can definitely master it, but it's going to be a pretty massive learning curve. So I just want to throw that out there if you're curious about it, that it might not be as easy as it might seem, even though you can buy kits and stuff yourself to seal those seams.
Yeah. Have you tried to do it before, you said?
Yeah. I've tried both tape and glue, and I've never been successful. So I think that's why I'm kind of bowing out of this for now.
Yeah, I understand that. The next thing that I have on my list, but it's a little bit, I don't know if it should be there or not. It's basic garments. I'm very fortunate that I can buy most of my garments in the store, no problem. So these kind of garments is like, do I want to spend the little time that I have if I sew on garments that I can so easily buy, or... But then again, the quality, I mean, I have some really nice jersey fabric quality, and I know that if I'm gonna sew a regular t-shirt, it's gonna be so much better compared to if I buy it. So there are like things that I do want. I wish I could make like my own staple basic garment wardrobe, sew it. But do I want to spend the time on making it? So I'm like, yes and no.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit conflicted on this one. If you sew out of necessity, like you have difficult finding garments that fit you well, I totally understand you sewing basic garments. For me, I can luckily buy them in store. I don't know. It's I'm conflicted. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I was actually have a very specific example on this particular topic. I'm wearing it underneath. I'm gonna pull up my...
You're gonna flash us.
Yeah, so I'm wearing actually a Uniqlo raglan sweater that I bought secondhand, and underneath it I have a Uniqlo ribbed tank top, which I have, I think, in several different colorways. I think I have about 7 or 8. Love these ribbed knit tank top, which I buy as much as I possibly can. And unfortunately, many brands, they have a style and then they discontinue it, and then I have to go search again. So that's why I'm on the Uniqlo train currently, buying these. And those are very basic tank tops. They're made with a rib knit. Sometimes it's 100% cotton, sometimes there's 5% lycra mix, and then both the arm opening and the neckline is used. They used bindings to cover the edges, and those are not time consuming to sew, but they are a little bit tricky to make, especially the binding. And I only want to wear gray, black, blue and white, so it's not massively challenging for me to go in a store and find a black, rib knit tank top, and because of the fabric is so forgiving due to the stretchiness, so fit is not really an issue as well, because they fit. They always fit in some way. Of course, sometimes a preference, like I wish that the Uniqlo had a little lower neckline, for instance, because I used to buy great ones for H&M that they stopped producing. But still, it's not like I don't feel like I'm really expressing my creativity if I would churn out like black and grey rib knit tank tops, but I do have a big need for those in my wardrobe.
Yeah, and also the sad thing, and it's usually cheaper to buy them ready made in the store compared to the fabrics and everything you need to buy yourself, which is a completely other topic. Why is it like that? But do I want to spend the time making them when I can buy pretty decent quality for not that big of money? It's but I'm conflicting. So sometimes I like I do and I don't. So this one is on both my this I want to sew and I don't really want to sew. It's not so fun to sew the basic garments either. I mean, I don't know. I want to go for a little bit more eye candy. And I know that my first patterns that I launched was basic t-shirt and sweatshirt joggers. So I've started out with basic garments. So I do love them and I do enjoy sewing them because they are very quick and you can go wrong, but it's like these kind of simple garments, it's a pretty safe thing to sew. But yeah, it's not the most fun thing to sew.
No. Yeah, I'm with you as well. And I think a lot of us sew also in a way of expressing our creativity, and fabric choice is one thing that goes into that as well. So even maybe if you sew like a basic t-shirt, and I put a quotation mark, you're able to do so much with the fabric choice and what kind of neckline finishing you're using, and you can use contrasting rib knit, for instance. So there is some creativity involved in the decision of making, for instance, a basic t-shirt. Whereas, for instance, in my case with the rib tank top, there's not much room for personal expression in making that. Now, I've sewn a couple, and to be honest, it wasn't really worth the effort, I felt.
Not when they are like perfectly done in store that you could easily buy for not that much money.
Yeah.
I mean, hats off to anyone who wants to make all your garments in your closet. Like that's so impressive. Keep on doing it if you want to. But I'm conflicted on this one.
Yeah. Do you have any more?
I have 2 things actually. Do you have anything more on your list?
No, I don't have anything actually. I only have 5.
My list is longer than yours.
Yeah, but I think I'm a pretty, I for instance, things that I actually enjoy have sewn is silk velvet, for instance. I know a lot of people hate that. I've sewn several dresses, and I actually kind of enjoy sewing with silk chiffon, for instance. So I think I'm a little bit, I think I'm a bit adventurous in that way. So I don't have that many that I'm definitely like a big no. So yeah,
and that's a little funny when
stuff like that. Yeah,
yeah. When I was younger, I was so much more adventurous. Yeah. The first ever like garment I've sewed for someone else was when I started to study this, and I sewed a wedding dress for a friend. So that was my first customer customer project, wedding dress. It was interesting. I mean, such a fun project, obviously, and it was a friend of mine. But to my point, I was so much more adventurous when I was young, so much more fearless, so much more like, let's try and see. Now I'm like, if I don't know that I'm gonna make it perfectly, I don't want to do it. So I have evolved, maybe not in a good way, to be honest.
Yeah, it's kind of where you say when the older we get, the more aware we get of our limitations, and for the first time you don't really know what you don't know, and you have to figure that out. So it's I think that's
ignorance is
applicable
bliss.
to a lot.
You just
ignorance,
try.
yeah,
You
exactly.
just try to do it.
And when you're young or unexperienced, so you definitely are. I think are more. It's more appealing, those idea. Wow, I could make a wedding dress, or
how hard could it be?
Corset dress. Yeah. By the way, I'm going to throw one more into that. I think I'm pretty much done to sew for other people.
You're allowed to say that. It's totally fine.
Yeah. So if anyone listening here that is a friend of mine or a relative, I'm pretty much done with that. I would say I could definitely see myself making something more to my kids. I've made their graduations outfits. I think those were the last things I made for those. That was super fun projects. Because that was some kind of special moment, and it was very fun too. They had very specific creative ideas that I was able to execute. So that's when I felt that having this skill that I have is very something I'm very, very grateful for. But in general, I cannot, and I also sometimes make handmade presents for people. Like I gave my kids mittens. I have a mittens pattern, the Tuva mittens, and I made for those, and they were super happy about that. But if someone would say to me, "Oh, could you make me a pair of jeans?" or blah blah blah, and I'm like, no. Never. It's never going to happen.
No, not
So,
that kind of a big.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, and it's fine to say no. It's perfectly fine. The two things that I still have on my list is, one, because I never liked it. It's, just not my cup of tea. It can look beautiful on other people, but it's just not my thing, whether it's in fashion or not. And it is fabric that has a hairy surface, like velvet or corduroy or Manchester. What do you say? It just
napped fabrics.
Napped fabric. Yeah, it's. There can be beautiful garments, and it can look pretty on other people. It's not just my jam. So that fabric I will never, and I can just imagine that when you cut it, like you have to have a vacuum cleaner beside you to get all the fluff away. It's
and not to mention the state of your sewing machines afterwards.
Yeah. So I'm not sorry that
it's going to be a lint fest.
Oh yes,
you're going to be lint infested. Your sewing space is going to be infested with lint.
Yeah, so I'm not like, oh no, it's not my cup of tea. It's sad that it's just messy fabric, and I just don't like the look of it. For me, if you like it, I've seen people make beautiful garments out of these kind of fabrics, so it's. But it's just, I never liked it. During my whole lifetime, I never.
So you don't buy these kind of garments either, right?
No.
So why would you sew them?
No, exactly.
That makes sense.
Yeah, true. And the other thing is, I'm a little bit of a lazy sewer, or like also I don't sew that much for pleasure, so. I would never spend my time on doing a lot of time on things that are just going to be worn once, or here in Sweden Halloween is not a big thing. It started to become a little bit bigger the last couple of years, but it's not. But I'm like so impressed with people in like US, for example, when they make their costume for the kids or for the whole family, or when they make like matching pajama sets for the whole family for Christmas, for the Christmas photo. I admire you. It's wow to spend so much time on that. It's impressive, and it looks obviously so pretty, so cute, so everything. I would I wish I would do that, but I'm too lazy. Sorry.
Yeah. I get that. It's also it's like a one-time thing as well, and I guess you could say that about the graduation clothes, even though I know my daughters have been wearing those again. But yeah, those special occasions, it seems like a very fun, creative thing, but it's definitely something that you put a lot of effort in. That it's not the time spent per wear is kind of low, so I get why it's not that appealing. But I'm so impressed by it because it's like creativity overflowing.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the thing that I wish that I would do.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit contradicting because I do love to sew occasional wear, like pretty dresses for like if I go to a wedding or something. I've done those kind of dresses, and also like my younger sister's, I don't know if it was not graduation dress, but it was something for her when I was a lot younger. But those are more like party wear or like nice dresses. It's one thing those I like to do, but not costumes and matching pajama sets. Even though I mean, I'm not shaming people who does that. I think it's amazing. It's so cute.
Yeah.
It's lovely. But yeah, I wish I was one of those people, but I'm not.
Yeah, same. So, but we are in awe of those of you who make that, and I'm pretty sure. I know that we have a lot of listeners in the US, for instance, and Halloween is a big deal over there, and the holidays in that way. So
yeah, maybe it's just that it's
I'm
that
sure,
kind of thing, not tradition, like so strong tradition here, so that's why it's not as important here.
Yeah, probably, because then again, you did try to sew a Baptist dress.
Again,
Baptist
I question
dress.
myself for that.
Which is obviously also a pretty much limited occasion.
Yeah, and it has never been worn. I mean, who would do?
So it wasn't for a relative.
No. I didn't have any.
Just you wanted to make it, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know.
They're very cute. I mean, they're extremely. I kind of like the way they look, and but it's a very unexpected project for a teenager to tackle without a specific wearer in mind.
Yeah,
but it's almost like an expand. It's almost tendent to it, like those elaborate doll dresses. That Baptist dress, and I think I don't know how it looks in other countries depending on traditions and things like that, or religion, but it's a very elaborate thing, so I can see the appeal in a way, just like you would maybe do a very elaborate doll dress with those layers of fabrics.
I think it was like white shiny fabric, that you go for, and the chiffon was looking so like, I don't know.
And the lace, and so much. It's a lot of going on with those.
It's a lot going on.
Little dresses for newborns.
And the result, I don't think it was that pretty, to be honest. So I question myself.
If you had something in mind for, I think when you get baptized in Sweden, you're just a couple of months old, right? You're a young kid. And the kid rejected it by, no! That was the first word about, no! I'm not wearing that dress.
Yeah, and again, I don't understand why that particular garment was. I have 2 kids; they are not baptized.
No,
it's. I mean, I have no idea what was I thinking back then.
Yeah, I wonder what it's like now. My kids aren't baptized either, so I wonder. But I guess it's still you get those dresses. But I guess they're usually heirlooms or handed down in some ways. I would assume, and I can also imagine that they are a little bit less elaborate these days because of the taste that has changed quite a bit. Maybe they are, done by Arket or Koss or so very minimal linen.
Yeah, I mean,
dresses.
They all are within the H&M group. I have never seen that kind of garment there. Obviously, I don't keep track of everything that's going on, but no, that's yeah. So I don't think that's in the assortment.
No, we went on a big tangent here. I mean, who makes baptism dresses in 2025? We need to know.
No, that's a very curious question, yeah. And this is our list, very personal, obviously, and just because we don't want to do it doesn't reflect anything on what you should do or want to, or you do obviously whatever you want to do. But we want to hear. This is a curious, interesting topic.
Right.
What would you not sew? Your listeners, like what? Curious to know. Write us a comment either on Instagram or on the YouTube channel. It's would be fun to know. Are we alone on this list, or are you hearing us? Are you feeling us? Do you have the same thing, or do you have something completely different?
Yeah, it was so interesting to hear, and I'm sure there are lots of other things, and I'm pretty sure that when we read our comments, we'll be like, yeah, right, we hear you on that one, or maybe the opposite. I mean, it's so interesting, and as you say, Malena, if you have thought about any of these projects and we have turned you off, I mean, don't listen to us, because you should always try and see for yourself, and a lot of stuff that I mentioned here are things that I've actually tried and now decided that I won't be making again. But I had no idea if I hadn't tried it, right?
No, exactly. No, and sometimes it is amazing that ignorance is a bliss.
Yeah.
Sometimes you also succeed with things. I mean,
exactly. Yeah,
you can.
I had no idea that I would be making all my own jeans, for instance. I had no idea about that 2 decades ago when I started to do that, and now I love it, and I cannot see myself going into store and buy jeans. So yeah,
you never know.
You never know. All right then, well, I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and if you want to learn more about us, you can find me, Johanna, over at thelaststitch.com, where I have my sewing patterns, sewing books, and lots of sewing tutorials.
You can find me at Hazelhen Patterns. I'm mostly active on Instagram. I do have a website as well with all the information, so you can check it out there as well.
And links to all these resources are, of course, in the show notes of this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.